topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, California, New Mexico, Arizona, Washington, Idaho, basically the west part of the United States. Hey, welcome to the Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This show, I'm so proud of this show. It has become our third most viewed show, and their shows have been with us for 10 and 15 years. This show went over 1,100 views last month just on YouTube. So we thank you for watching. We've got a great show. We're going to be talking about public insurance adjusting, those unpaid claims by your homeowner insurance. We have got the top company, Crown Adjusting, and I'm hoping we're going to even maybe have a guest today with Robert and Joseph. Let me welcome you, Robert Crown and Joseph Fernandez.
How do you do, everybody?
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Nice to be here.
Hey, you're not in your car today. That's good.
Will wonders never cease?
So are we going to have your guest on with us today or not?
I think he's also trying to get online. This is probably his first time on the show, and I think getting StreamYard is a little bit of a challenge. I made it just in the nick of time.
You did. Hey, since you're talking right now, Robert, tell us about Crown Adjusting.
Crown Adjusting is a licensed public adjusting firm. It was established in 2014, but I've been a public adjuster since 1985. I've worked with other public adjusting firms and have established a nice track record of experience and success on behalf of consumers. Most of the fires you hear about, certainly in California, have a public adjuster involved these days because the insurance companies have misbehaved so badly.
I got to tell you, I saw overhead views last night of the Palisades, and it's just, I think I saw one house actually going up, but the rest of it was just flatland.
Yeah, they're going up. People are doing their best to deal with their insurance company and try to make, informed decisions about whether they can afford to rebuild. So, but it will come back. The homes in Southern California and the communities affected by this calamity, which has just had its 1-year anniversary. I do think that many, many, many people will come back.
Gosh, we hope so. They're all in our prayers. Have you actually had to work with any of the insurance companies with the Palisades? I know it's not just the Palisades.
Yes, I have.
And how difficult is it?
Well, that's a tricky question.
See, we're not there. You are. You're on the ground.
Well, for many people, they've gotten offers of settlement, but they haven't gotten everything that they're entitled to. So many public adjusters, for the folks that have been dealing with the insurance company by themselves, they have done the best they can, and many of them are now consulting with PAs to have them see if they can be of service to get the balance of the money that they're still entitled to. And some of that money is not going to be paid until the folks actually start rebuilding. But many people
Oh,
still have an entitlement to that money, and they don't have to rebuild. They can go out and buy another home.
and it's not just homes either; it's businesses too.
Oh no, these communities, it's when you are in an area as broad as Los Angeles, where you've got, neighborhood communities that are decimated, much of what folks do is really based on what's around them. So Altadena was adversely affected, and the Palisades, which does have a very small downtown, there's a handful of stores and shops there, but this was a very well-established community that is essentially gone. So,
Well, I do not want to make this a political show, but I got to say, hats off to, there's, from what I understand, there's money missing, and these homeowners are going after it. They're doing everything they can to find out what happened to that money, because from what I understand, there's monies that are missing.
monies that are missing from the insurance companies that have been tasked with paying people, or money that has been misappropriated.
Donated,
Oh.
not the insurance companies. There was a lot of donations that went to these people who lost everything. And from what I understand, there's a lot of money missing, and these homeowners are actually starting to file lawsuits against the state.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't want to get in political, but that's, I'm a news hawk, and I feel so bad for the people in California, but that's another story. I want to tell people, Robert and Joseph, that I've had firsthand experience working with the public adjuster, and one of the purposes of this show is maybe teach people not to try to handle this themselves, because I was one of those people. I didn't even know what a public adjuster was, and I had a problem. Now every case is different. Don't go by my case, but I was offered $30,000. A friend of mine said, do you have a public adjuster? And I didn't even know what one was, which from the letters we get, there's a lot of people who still don't know what a public adjuster is. But when I finally hired one, because we had terrible tornadoes in Texas, the public adjuster got me $130,000. Now, every case is different, but that's my experience, and I'm hoping with this show that people will reach out to your company and not try to handle this themselves.
Well, they have lots of options for professional help, and people are certainly welcome to reach out to Crown Adjusting, to Joseph and or myself. And I'm sorry our guest is having problems getting on the show, but we rely on others too to help us do our job. And so there are consultants in the field that are also looking to help property owners and homeowners and insurance companies. Where do you start when the property is gone?
Yeah.
You have to recreate what was there. You got to be able to look at it. You got to be able to draw it. You got to be able to draw plans, and then you go about the business. And this is sort of lead up to our guest today, when he was able to get on the program. That
he's on.
We
He's
call it.
backstage waiting.
He's backstage, so hopefully you can bring him in.
Hope he knows to click on the backstage at the bottom.
There he is.
Ooh, I think he's think he's coming on.
Handsome devil.
Yeah, go ahead and
he's
bring him
waiting.
on. There he is. Oh, Thomas.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Nice to
let me,
meet you.
Steve, please be introduced to Tom Coster. He's the owner and founder of Accurate Estimates, Inc. And Tom is a seasoned, experienced consulting contractor and estimator that does work for us, does work for other public adjusters, and is a detective. He's the guy you want to have in your court that's going to show the insurance company what the inside of a house looked like and what it is now going to cost to repair and replace. So
You're a forensic. Tell me what that is.
You were a bit gargled there, Steve. You want to repeat? Your connection's
Yes,
not.
I understand you're a forensic estimator. What does that mean?
good question, Steve.
Well, we get called in on these wildfire scenes where the house is literally up in smoke. Literally, the only thing left is the foundation, maybe a chimney, and the insured has no documentation, or their documentation and plans were inside the home along with all their photographs. So we have to through the techniques of forensic work, we have to interview, we have to research, we have to go to the lost site, we have to examine what evidence is left and reconstruct what the insured had with very little record or very little assistance. And so our job is to, as accurately as possible, develop a 3D model of what they had and how the rooms were configured and what kind of cabinets and kitchens and bathrooms and and the layout of their home. And so that's what we would call forensic estimation.
And you may deal in losses of water and fire damage, correct? Can he hear me?
A little garbled, I think.
Yeah, there's a delay. And
You mainly deal in water and fire losses?
right, water, fire, heavy snow load, trees, wind damage, flood damage, earthquake damage. We also work in the arena of expert witness and litigation and in bad faith litigation. We assist law firms. We also do construction defect expert witness work. Yeah, we there's a large variety of what we do in this industry.
I think we're having technical difficulties.
I think we lost our host.
Joseph, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear all of you. I think we lost Steve.
We lost Steven.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't get him back soon, we'll go ahead and make a sort of we'll pick up where he left off and maybe here he goes.
There he is.
So we were talking about you mainly work with water and fire. Are you hearing me okay? You're not.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, you can hear me, and Robert can't. Joseph?
Do you lip read, Joseph?
Okay, Juan, what are we doing wrong, Juan? Juan is our producer. Some of them can hear me and some of them can't.
For those that may be watching, we're hoping to resolve this technical difficulty.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm using hot. Why don't you all go ahead and talk? Can you hear me now? I'm going to do some.
Well, Stephen, we're hoping you're going to join us, but while people are thinking about what kind of help they need, uh, Mr. Coster has been instrumental in the types of claims that we have used him. He has been very helpful to reconstruct the building that was damaged and provide some of the detailed specifications that would allow us to measure the as-is conditions 1 minute before the loss occurred, such that we can generate an estimate. I mean, an estimate is just our version of what it's going to cost to repair or replace. And that is where we start and where we hope the insurance company will pick up. And unfortunately, in our world, the insurance estimates don't tell the whole story. So we frequently have to bring in local builders to help make the case that the insurance company's numbers and even our numbers are preliminary at best.
Yeah. Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So we're getting text in from people wanting to know, when is the time to contact you?
It's not on our end, right? Tom, you hear me? Joseph, you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
If the question is directed to me,
No, I don't see.
I'm a licensed general contractor. I only maintain my license so that I have the credibility in the industry to write estimates. So sometimes I get the call first from a property owner. And if the property owner has coverage issues or coverage questions, I have to refer them over to a public adjuster like Robert Brown Adjusting. But if it's just a matter of estimating or measuring the loss, that's something that I can do in-house. And so I do encourage policyholders to contact somebody like our firm or another consulting firm or even a public adjusting firm as soon as possible. I receive calls typically about a year after, for instance, a wildfire event. And people are trying their best to work the problems with their own insurance adjuster. And it could go on for 6 months to a year, or sometimes 18 months before they finally are exasperated.
Wow.
And they start reaching out for professional help from a consulting contractor like us or others. And if they would consider that as maybe their second phone call, their first phone call is filing a claim. The second phone call is finding a reliable expert, whether a public adjuster or a consulting firm like us, to begin the process of assessing their problem and then giving them the proper guidance on what is the best solution.
Joseph, we're also getting questions in, people wanting to know, what if I've already settled my claim? I wasn't happy with it. Can I go back in?
Well, it depends. It depends if you feel that there was some discrepancy in scope, and as whether you feel that, number one, did you have enough money to do the work based on what the contractor's estimate came in at? And if the answer to that is no, then there's obviously opportunity to take another bite at the apple and try and get a little bit more from the insurance claim, because in most cases, the adjuster's estimate is going to be inadequate. It's going to vary in the size of the scope. And for the most part, they're incentivized to try and pay you as little as possible, because most times these adjusters do not know themselves how to adjust a claim because they've never done the work. So most of us that aren't knowledgeable in the insurance industry or construction, we take it on good faith that the adjuster is going to put together an estimate that will be sufficient. But where most people find themselves in a predicament is when they go to hire the contractor says, well, this is not going to be enough money, but we can try to supplement our way through it, which is kind of a risky way to go about it. And then what you do is you submit all the change orders to the insurance company, hoping that they're going to be in agreement and that they'll pay that amount of money. So there's a lot of ways that people find themselves in a predicament. But the best case is to either consult with an estimator such as Tom, who acts as a consultant, or talk to a public adjuster such as Robert or myself, so that we can be sure that you're not leaving any money on the table, because the best way to get all that is up front and not towards the end, so that there aren't any surprises awaiting you.
Thomas, is AI working its way into your industry?
Absolutely. I am a believer in technology, and what I do is pay attention to what's out there, and then try to be the first on the block to acquire it, and then to use it as long as I can before it becomes
Absolutely.
passe. And so that technology, whether it's 3D scanning, aerial drone 3D mapping, which we've been using those technologies probably 4 to 5 years sooner than most average consultants in our field, and that helps us to be much more competitive and more thorough in our evaluations of estimates. But the issue with regards to what is AI going to do to our industry in the future, it's going to take over, and we have to learn to work with it and not to ignore it, because if we ignore it, then we're going to be on the outside looking in. And so I will use technology to the advantage of our skill and our estimation processes to assist the policyholder in a way that's going to benefit them and provide the efficiency necessary.
Robert, can you hear me now?
Again, I'm here.
Oh, good. So I'm curious, these insurance companies have major money behind them. How do you stay ahead of them?
Well, if they're talking to us, we stay ahead of them by making sure that there's not a lull in the conversation, because we're constantly trying to get them to play catch up. They're not the first ones to volunteer anything normally. So part of the task of claim preparation is, and this is where the policyholders are at a disadvantage. They're waiting, they're kind of waiting and wondering what the insurance company's going to do. They don't really understand that it's not the insurance company's burden to prove what is owed under the policy of insurance. It's the policyholder's burden. They have adjusters in the field that are there to do something on behalf of the consumer, but a public adjuster can drive the conversation, can establish the parameters for what the insurance company is supposed to do, what they're going to do, and ultimately what they're obligated to do. So, and this is a weird time in many, many ways, because I've never seen such, I don't want to say that, I'm not trying to paint every insurance company as an evildoer, but I've never seen such blatant disregard for policyholders, in part because the demands on the insurance companies are greater than they've ever been. And they're trying to limit what they're paying out.
Joseph, I'm getting questions now, people who are getting ready to buy a new home, and they want to make sure their insurance policy is adequate. What are some of the most important things they should make sure that are in their policy?
The basic things, you want to make sure that you are insured for a reasonable cost per square foot. A lot, it's That's a very difficult thing to do nowadays because most insurance companies are looking to reduce the amount of coverage that every homeowner gets on a policy. And so that's you want to be right now, depending on where you're at, whether it's here in the Bay Area or sorry about that background noise. My contractor decided to make all the noise right here, right now before the show.
Oh my gosh.
You may have to go. Maybe you should tell him to take a pause. Give me his phone number. Give me his phone number. I'll call him.
Okay.
Should be, but in reality, you want to be anywhere between, $500 to $800 per square foot, and you can figure that out by taking your dwelling, which is your biggest amount of coverage, and dividing that by the total amount of square feet that you have in your household. And that'll give you your cost per square foot. So that's that thing, that piece of it. The other thing you want to make sure is you have building code upgrade, especially if it's an old home that you're purchasing. Building code upgrade is essentially everything that's necessary to bring your house up to a compliance with the building department and the latest building codes of 2022. So if you 10%, 20%, or in some cases 25% of your coverage A. So that's one thing. The other thing that's really important is your coverage D, as in David, which is either your loss of rents, whether or not it's based upon whether it's a rental property, or loss of use, which is if it's your primary dwelling, which is the amount of money the insurance company will pay for you to live elsewhere. If it's a rental property, loss of rents is the amount of rent that they'll cover up until the house is back to being habitable, which means the construction period of restoration has been completed. So those are, I would say, one of the bigger ones to look out for. You also want to try and get coverage under your dwelling, something that has an extra bump up of coverage, which is known as extended replacement. Extended replacement can be an additional, essentially it's 125% of your dwelling or 150%, which means if you breach the outer envelope of coverage, which in this case, let's say it's $500,000, your coverage A, and you get an extra bump up of 50%, now you're tapping into an additional amount, which is $725,000, which not all policies have, but I would say 80% of them probably do. And sometimes to get that extended replacement, you got to pay a little bit more, but it's absolutely worth it in the event of a catastrophic loss.
Okay. And Robert, I want to also, people are asking, how come mold and termites are not covered?
Well, that you'd probably have to ask an insurance company, because that's a very naturally that's a naturally occurring phenomena, and it's not. An insurance policy is not designed to cover everything. There's a nuclear exclusion. All of the things that insurance companies guard against: fraud, latent defect. The water claims are, we handle water claims as they are plentiful and rather difficult, but mold is a consequence of water. We have a hell of a time getting the insurance company to consider that part of the reason people have mold damage is because the insurance company is taking their time getting the right people out there to do the necessary mitigation to dry the place out. We spent a lot of time fighting with companies about that, and that's a particular bugaboo for me, because if they do nothing, if they just sit back indefinitely, they take some responsibility for not advising folks on what they should be doing to get their policy to work for them. I want to, only because I'd like to direct, we fight the good fight. We don't fight it alone. We fight it with consultants. We frequently will not take a claim either because it's problematic to start. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about policy appraisal because we've got an expert with us. Tom Coster could be busy and may be busy, 12 months a year just doing appraisals because the insurance company is so misbehaved. When you have a genuine dispute, and lawyers can talk about this as well, especially lawyers that understand insurance claims and the insurance regulations here in California, which is a consumer oriented state. People are well protected here in California. But when you have a genuine dispute and the insurance company is literally digging their heels in, you can invoke policy appraisal, which puts the whole matter in the hands of a handful of people. The insurance company is obligated. Appraisal, unless there's a special provision, appraisal is mandatory. Interestingly enough, there's one insurance company that has provided an exclusion for policy appraisal or limits what they do. But policy appraisal is where you hire your own appraiser. That person argues the case against the insurance company with the insurance company's appraiser. And between the two, they will hopefully move the goal line so that the dispute between the policyholder's numbers and the insurance company's numbers is less. And if possible, they'll try to settle it. If not, they'll select an umpire who would preside over this process, and 2 out of the 3 get to render an award or a verdict, if you will. Tom might want to comment here because he's certainly at the top of our list for appraisers that have a lot of experience dealing with these types of disputes. You're supposed to be objective as a third party expert, and you try to be. It's hard to imagine somebody being completely objective because you're tasked with talking about the extent of damage, and you're entitled to have an opinion. Doesn't mean you're right.
Well, Tom, why don't we talk about appraisals and how the process works, especially when the insurance company refuse to work on, competitively with the public adjuster?
I love this topic, and this is probably one of the most important things other than coverage in your policy, and is to understand the benefits of your policy. So I would direct homeowners, policyholders to their policy under heading loss settlement. And then under loss settlement, look for a subheading titled appraisal. Now, this is not real estate market appraisal. This is policy appraisal. It's just below the arbitration. And it's a nice piece of wording in the policy that says, well, it basically says this: if you or we disagree as to the value of repair, either party may request or demand appraisal. And the 2 appraisers appointed by each party are responsible for the cost of their appraiser, and the 2 appraisers must appoint an umpire within 15 days. If not, a judge of local jurisdiction shall appoint one for them. So this nice little piece of language in the policy is really to lessen the cases that go before courts. And because it's informal, that is, it's less informal than court, and it's even less informal than arbitration. It allows the 2 parties, the insurance company and the homeowner, to turn their dispute of of not coverage, but dispute of the cost of repair to a tribunal of three people, two appraisers, one appraiser representing their respective party, and the two appraisers appointing a neutral third party, that is an umpire. And what happens when you do invoke appraisal is the claim is removed from the adjusting process. It's removed from the hands of the claims adjusters and supervisors, and it's handed off to the appraisal panel. The appraisal panel's work product is protected. That means it cannot be subpoenaed. There's no discovery of it. Attorneys can't get their hands on it. The process is sacrosanct. That is, it's highly confidential, because what the appraisal panel determines as the value of repair, that becomes the claim. That becomes the value that the insurance company is held accountable to pay the policyholder. And in normal situations, the carrier must pay that within 30 days. And so whatever 2 or 3 of the appraisal panel decides the value of the claim is, that is legally binding. And now, the other nice thing about policy appraisals is there's statutory deadlines that exist in this process that do not necessarily exist outside in claims adjusting. So when a party invokes appraisal, the insurance company has 20 days. They must appoint their own appraiser within 20 days, providing the name and contact information to the insured and to the insured's appraiser. And then once those 2 appraisers have been introduced, they have 15 days to nominate and appoint an umpire. And then once the umpire is named and appointed, and the umpire has been duly hired by the 2 parties, and one thing I want to say is that the 2 parties split the cost of the umpire's fee and expenses equally. So each party bears half of the cost of the umpire. And once the umpire is appointed and duly installed, the parties have 15 days to vet the umpire and to look at his background and make sure that the parties are okay with the umpire's background, and the umpire must submit a disclosure statement disclosing the relationships that he or she has with the parties, so that it's clear that the umpire is neutral. And once the umpire is appointed, he or she will schedule an informal hearing via Zoom, similar to what we're doing here today, where the 2 parties can present the facts and evidence of their claim to the appraisal panel, and the 2 appraisers get to examine and cross-examine witnesses, and the umpire also gets to question witnesses, as does the 2 parties. So the insured gets to put their case on first. Once they're done, then the insurance company gets to put their case on. But each party gets to ask questions of each party's experts and witnesses. It's a very neat and tidy program and process. And I don't think enough consumers know that they have these rights under their own homeowners policy. And just look for it under loss settlement, under policy appraisal, and you can read it there for yourself.
We are getting a lot of mail because this show also airs in about 6 other states. Are those rules just for California only, Tom?
No, they can differ from state to state, but myself as an appraiser here in California, I can appraise any claim within the United States, all 50 states. The qualifications are they're very minimal. I am a licensed contractor. I don't recommend that a policyholder hires anybody that is not a contractor or a public adjuster or an attorney. It's important that whoever the insured would appoint as their appraiser, that appraiser has competency, understands the appraisal process, understands claims and the whole processing of claims, and is very knowledgeable in construction costs.
Tom, not everybody wants to work with a public adjuster, which I cannot believe, especially after what I went through. So most of the insurers would talk to you about putting the estimate together for them. What happens if you put an estimate together for them and the adjuster on the other side refuses to even consider the estimate?
Great question, Stephen.
Steve, that happens so much. It's almost like it's their protocol. It's their tactic to, to ignore or not respond to an insured when they have their own contractor's estimate. And when that happens, I would recommend a public adjuster to push back on that, because a general contractor is not a licensed public adjuster. We cannot really negotiate claims or coverage. All we can do is estimate and value the cost of repair.
It's amazing that there is so much to this that people just don't understand public adjusting. And I hope, especially with the fires out there, the Palisades and the other areas, that they do get a public adjuster. I've actually noticed that we actually got 2 letters which we sent to Robert. They're getting ready to be sent. We gave him your phone number and your email, that are going through a fire. And it turns out that there's some public adjusters out there that are representing people that they're not happy with. Have you had any feedback like that, Robert or Joseph?
Well, we hear things regarding a consumer's displeasure, and sometimes we're even asked to get involved, or to they want to know what their options are. We're very careful about how we advise people, because it's difficult to tell people how to counter any resistance they're getting from their public adjuster if they don't like what they're doing, other than start with talking with them, or referring them to counsel, because some people probably shouldn't continue the relationship with someone that's not doing the job. Our industry is highly suspect, because it is by nature predatory. But I tell most folks, and they don't have. It's not the case that they have to hire a public adjuster. They can talk to a number of different people. Most of the advising that I did in the very beginning, I told people to hold off on hiring a PA to sort of take the insurance company's temperature, because generally, especially when a house is essentially destroyed down to the ground, the first thing you want to do is, and Joseph commented on this a little bit, is to do the math to find out, can they really afford to hire a PA? In the case of someone not having sufficient coverage, I'm not saying the insurance company is going to roll over and write a check, but in some cases they might be better off hiring a consultant like Tom. And it probably ultimately is going to cost less money, but that doesn't mean the insurance company is going to listen to them. The insurance company typically brings in people that will write an estimate for free, because the insurance company feels like they owe them a favor because they've actually done work for that insurance company. There's a lot of strategy involved in dealing with these claims. We want to try to set our client up for success with the least amount of delay, because delay is problematic, especially in a FEMA declared event.
Tom, we're getting people want to know, how do you charge your clients?
Was that directed to me?
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
Right. Yeah, I came up with a way with regards to wildfire losses. Probably the first call I got was from an attorney who suffered a complete and total loss of her home. And then she introduced me to all the clients in the neighborhood that she's representing to assist. And I, they didn't want to pay a percentage or something like that. They don't want to pay an hourly rate, because that's kind of endless. But so we came up with a per square foot price to estimate and to value total losses, and that was met with alarming success. I think it was so much more easier for the policyholder to understand how much it's going to cost to determine the value of what they had. It was a very fair way to do it. I mean, it's based on the total square footage of their home multiplied by a modest per square foot price. And we used that both in the Palisades and in Altadena. And of course, it was on a sliding scale with regards to the smaller the house, the greater the per square footage, the larger the house, the per square foot price would go down. You know, we did estimate a 9,000 square foot home in Palisades across from Kobe Bryant's old home up there on the hill of the Palisades. You know, so we just adjust it so that it's fair for everybody. And that seemed to work very well. But when we're not dealing with a wildfire, maybe we're dealing with a single family kitchen fire or a flood in somebody's home. We would work on a percentage of maybe 3 to 4 to 5%, depending on what the homeowner wanted us to do. The other thing that I'm sensitive to, and I know that Crown Adjusting is very sensitive to this, is we don't want to overfee our clients. After the settlement, they have to have enough money to restore their property. And so that's why I know that Crown Adjusting is very selective. They do interview, they do want to make sure that there's the cost to benefit ratio for the policyholder, so that that the fees that they have to pay for representation are not cost prohibitive. And so, but if we're doing our job well as public adjusters, or my role as construction cost consultant, we are very meticulous in the way that we approach things. So we're finding value in things that the average insurance adjuster and even a general contractor inadvertently omit or don't know the program enough to really estimate a very precise and accurate estimate. So our estimates are far more inclusive and more detailed than the average adjuster and even a local general contractor.
And Joseph, tell people how you get paid. Joseph?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Steve.
How we get
tell people how. Yes.
Well, you can find us on crownadjusting.com. We also, when you visit us on our website, we have a claims inquiry link where you can fill out some information about your claim so that we can see if it's something that will be beneficial for both you and us. As Tom mentioned, we are selective because we can't help everyone, but we want to make sure that we're putting more into the claim that we're handling than what we're taking out after taking our fees. So that to us is really important.
Hey, Tom, tell people how they can. Go ahead.
I just wanted to answer the question very briefly. We've covered it on the other shows, but PAs work on a percentage. And if we're involved early on, it's normally, somewhere in the area of 10%. If people come to us late in the process and they've already secured a sizable amount of money from their insurance company, we have to look at it really carefully, because we might come in and work on a percentage of new money. But again, it takes a little bit of care and consideration to make sure that the customer knows what lies ahead, because at the end of the day, we want people to feel like we're deserving of the fee that we got, because there's no way they would have gotten that money without us. So,
Tom, how do people reach you?
Well, we can be reached at accurateestimatesinc.com. That's accurate estimates inc.com. Or they can reach us by phone. The best way to contact us is through my cell phone, which is area code 510-774-1813. That's my direct number, 510-774-1813. Or they can call our office during business hours at area code 209-785-7700.
And Robert, how do they reach you?
Pretty much the same through our website at crownadjusting.com and or directly, Robert at crownadjusting.com. Joseph is Joseph at crownadjusting.com. My number is 999 415 999 5519. Joseph, why don't you reference your number? It's
925-361-2994.
Well, even doing a hour or 50-minute show, your show still goes by so fast. First, thank you for bringing Thomas on today. World of information. And your show, this show here, a little surprise, is going to be replaying tomorrow at 11 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow. And plus, we'll see you guys next month.
I'll just plug Tom because I've known him for a long time. In terms of having someone in your court, there's nothing that would preclude a consumer from consulting with somebody like Tom just to help evaluate what the value of their losses are. And, you know, he's certainly able to talk to people over the phone about their situation and advise them as well. So if folks in Altadena or in the Palisades are still looking to go after the insurance company for the balance of what they still owe, if they're not going to use a public adjuster, they certainly could hire somebody like Tom to review their situation and better evaluate the best options for them going forward.
Thanks so much, guys. Again, we'll be playing the show tomorrow, and we'll see you live next month. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
And that'll do it for us
next
today.
time.
That'll do it for us today. We'll be back in with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.